So there has been a little bit of good news when it comes to New World, a little bit of a shot in the arm when it comes to the old copium for New World right now. That was probably much needed. Now this comes from Discord, but I'm going to be taking like screenshots. Some of them are low pixel, but whatever, we're just going to have to deal with it. Now all of these come from Delacron, but the first message we're going to look at is about this, and it's talking about the combat code that is being completely rewritten for better flexibility, stability, and to be more performant, especially with client memory. Now this basically isn't going to change how combat is, like obviously the abilities are still going to do all the same abilities and stuff like that, but it's sort of behind the scenes to make it feel a little bit smoother. But what's important here is that they'll be sharing the details for a related PTR within the next few weeks. Now actually, for anybody who was paying attention, this could be related to Monday's video, because in it there's sort of joke about optimizing and becoming like a tab target game. Obviously it's a joke, by the way, don't read too much into that, but they're saying there that if they made it tab target it would be more performant, and you know, it's just a little bit of a joke. But I think they might be talking about this, which could make that video very interesting indeed. Now you might be wondering, what does this mean for you? Well, one thing that they said that it might do, or probably will do, is that it should help with desyncs too. And that's very good news. Now we did actually know that this combat rework was coming. I think they mentioned it sort of like months ago, but the fact that it's coming in a PTR soon, yeah, that's pretty good news. It's worth considering that this PTR is probably going to be the same one with Cross-Realm Expeditions. And when they say it's a few weeks away, if I'm honest, I wouldn't expect it in December. If we're getting Season 4 December 12th, I could sort of see it maybe being announced maybe late December, but probably early January, which in my opinion is probably like a month away rather than a couple of weeks, but maybe I'm wrong, maybe it'll be a little bit sooner than that. The main one there is when I'm playing the game, sometimes I'll like get my Serenity out, my big boy Serenity, and I'll just do a massive heavy attack hoping for like a massive crit, and it'll look like it's hit, but it doesn't actually hit, and you're like, what did I do wrong? Well, you didn't really do anything wrong. It just, sometimes the game just doesn't have the right like capacity to actually understand that you hit or you didn't hit and you didn't see it. So it is what it is, but hopefully this will be some fixes there. But we also have some good news with regards to Lord of the Rings, the MMO that New World developers Amazon are making next. Now, this might be good or bad news depending on your point of view, but it's something that we sort of thought about. I'm gonna jokingly say that New World is effectively confirmed as the beta for Lord of the Rings. That's a joke, but let me explain. So you can sort of see this line here. But right now, there is no Lord of the Rings without New World. And that sentence pretty much sums up everything we need to know. Basically, New World is going to be getting a lot of changes and additions because it is effectively the foundation of Lord of the Rings. It's using the same engine, it's the same developers, so they're interested in the technology and they want it to probably be on console. I'm predicting that it'll maybe come to console next year. They'll want it to be running on console, so that's why they're doing all of the optimization there. Probably the same for the combat as well. They're going to improve New World with DLSS and DX12 and all that kind of stuff, because they want Lord of the Rings to have that. Now you might be worried, well, oh, that's all well and good, but how much content are they making? Like, how much have they put on Lord of the Rings already? Well, the answer to that might be a little bit surprising, because it was to me. Apparently, right now, the team is only approximately around about 5 people. This effectively means that Lord of the Rings is in pre-production. They've not obviously started the actual proper developing of the game as of right yet. Now that could be good and bad, depending on your take. If you're not happy with the amount of content that New World has had recently, you might be like justifying it by saying, they're probably working on Lord of the Rings. Well, they're not really working on Lord of the Rings. So if we're going to get content, we're probably going to need it from somewhere else. Maybe the Virtuoso Games expansion rumor that we all heard about last year. Not last year, a couple of months back. I'm already in 2024. And we also have this statement, which says that the team are still very invested in New World's future. Our team didn't have the layoffs, so you might have heard that a couple of weeks back there were some layoffs at the Amazon Game Studios, but it wasn't actually the development team, it was the Prime Gaming team and the Crown Gaming channel that was on Twitch, which nobody basically watched, which is probably why they got laid off, unfortunately. But the development of the games, that was unaffected. So you can sort of see that that wasn't really a problem. And they say we have a full roadmap years planned out to degrees of detail. Obviously, like the farther it out, the less detail they're probably going to be having. And they said obviously they've not shared that yet. And there's going to be lots of content coming up still, Plus, as they mentioned, our studio is also responsible for developing Lord of the Rings, which we've already spoke about. And interestingly, if you are interested in that game, then that is still years away from shipping. I mean, they say years away from shipping. I would assume that that might be very much 5 to 7 years away from shipping. That's going to take a while, especially if there's only 5 people working on it right now and it's in pre-production. They're not even ramping up with that yet. There is reason, I think, to be concerned that when they do start proper production on Lord of the Rings, will New World suffer? Well, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, that could very easily be years away, and maybe at that point New World is in a very good position and, you know, we're all happy. So let's see what happens with that. Now, one last little bit of good news here. Now, this is, again, is something that we sort of had a sniff about, because I think in the dev Q&A they said they were going to work on this issue, but we now have something a little bit more confirmed, and that is basically in season 4 they're going to make a change to some of their content, which will mean that when they do hotfixes and smaller patches, that we're not getting 28 gigabyte patches just to remove Turkulon and fix a couple of the weapons. Something they did with the expansion affected their pipeline, and it was an edge case where, you know, hotfixing this caused large deltas and basically, you know, massive downloads. Season 4, I mean, I suspect season 4 itself will be quite big, but I think that any sort of smaller patch after that should be quite small, and that's quite good. There's people who don't have like fantastic connections out there, or, you know, for me personally, it's not the download that matters. I don't like the install and the unpacking just seems to take me literally hours, and I don't really know why. I have a NVMe, whatever the hell it's called, I can't remember the full name of it, but I have one of those, and yeah, it's still not quick. Granted, it's normally when I'm streaming, so maybe that's affecting it. I'm not really sure. So for me, this was a little bit of copium that I needed to be sniffing around, because yeah, season 4's like a little bit underwhelming. It's nice to know that there's something coming extra to season 4.5 rather than just the cross-realm expeditions. Like, we're going to actually get some performance upgrades with combat. Hopefully combat will just feel a little bit better. New World's best feature, I think, is its combat, and making it better will just make it better, because that's obvious, and I don't know why I stated it like that, but that's obvious, right? So I'll be very happy to see what they do with that, especially if it improves with the desyncs, which is what they said. The Lord of the Rings stuff, sort of a little bit unexpected that there's so few people working on it, but it's a sort of funny omission that basically New World has to have these changes to be put on Lord of the Rings. I think we all sort of expected that. It's probably why we're going to get console. It's probably why we're going to get performance improvements and stuff like that. But I'm okay with that for now. And of course the patch size, that'll be quite good when we actually get that as well. Nothing major with that one, just nice. You know what else is nice? My beautiful, lovely Patreons. If you want to support the channel, that is the best way to do so. Or you can come and watch me on Twitch. I stream 6 days a week, probably generally for about 6-7 hours. So come and give me a like, a follow. That doesn't make sense. You can't like on Twitch. It doesn't even exist. Come and give me a follow. Come and have a beautiful, beautiful day. I'm sure you'll have lots of fun. Other than that, right now, you should have lots of fun. Have a beautiful day. Like and subscribe. Goodbye.